Hi, I'm Ted Kofi, and this video is at the root a video about citizenship, the active part of citizenship. Because in mainstream society, that is, in white society, there is a multiplicity of channels and avenues by which ordinary white folk can express themselves. This is something which is not available in the main for PAO, that's people of African origin, aka black people. And this video is about how it affects their lives as citizens when they live in the West. If you're white in Western society, everything is created for your sustenance and furtherance. Of course, we all have difficulties. White people are no different. Asian people are no different. PAO, people of African origin, are no different. But when society is so structured that there are multiple pathways for people who are not black to express themselves freely and to be recognized for that self-expression, when things are organized that way, it leads to a completely different quality of life for people who are white. Now, I'm not an academic, and I have not done any research studies on how black people feel about the impacts of institutionalized pathways for self-expression and how these are censored. But I can tell you very clearly what the lived experience feels like. And I must say, my experience of these limitations is actually greatly reduced than that for ordinary people. I work in the media, I have access to public channels, I'm often speaking in front of large numbers of people, so I can get my voice out there. The average person doesn't work in those kinds of environments. So this is how it feels to live in a situation in which your pathways for self-expression are limited. It presents as if black people, PAO, need to be given permission to speak. Don't know quite why, but for many reasons, black people seem beholden, held hostage to their environments because their future, their work, their career, their social experience are mostly in the hands of people who don't look like them. So you'll get a black person who is in a technically high profile role. Let's say he's a broadcaster. Let's say he works for a mainstream channel. You can see that that person has been appointed to that role, but really lacks any kind of agency in either determining the news agenda or how they express themselves both in and out of work. It's almost like a pair of golden handcuffs. So we'll give you a high profile celebrity job as a TV presenter or a radio presenter or a talk show host. And in return, you will mute your voice so that you don't embarrass the system, the status quo that gave you that position. Applies in politics too. I think we have now more black members of parliament than we have ever had before. But think about this too. Who do they really work for? When Labour or the Tories or whoever puts up a black candidate, that black candidate's job is to represent the people that he's been elected to represent. The minority of them will be black people. So in actual fact, the fact that the person is colored like me makes no difference at all to his ability to influence anything. In fact, since the days of Bernie Grant, I don't recall any black politicians other than, say, Dawn Butler, uh, uh, who have vociferously spoken out for minority ethnics. Of course, David Lammy has done some fantastic work in his inquiry into the criminal justice system and its adverse impacts on black folk in the United Kingdom. But nevertheless, every black person you speak to will probably tell you that these politicians are black in name, but they're not black in deed, to the extent that what they do really changes the uh, livelihoods of people of African origin. In fact, there is an argument which says that some of the most extreme, reactionary minority ethnic politicians, and I'd name people like our current Home Secretary, Priti Patel, are the ones who have brought in some of the most draconian methods which, in the case of Priti Patel, would actually have stopped her parents becoming welcome immigrants to the United Kingdom. So when that happens, we lose the active element of citizenship. Just a couple of days ago, I was a speaker at the Future Leaders Conference. It's an organization that brings together very, very bright, very able young people. I mean, bristling with all the elite universities and so on. They're all there. And we were talking to them about global citizenship and the skills that are going to be required to survive in a globalized world. And one of my co-panelists was a lady from the organization Civicus. Now, Civicus is a global alliance of civil society organizations which tries to make people more effective as citizens wherever they live. And what she said was that the most important part of citizenship is the active part. Citizenship isn't something that is conferred on a person. Citizenship is something that one acts out. And one of the most important aspects of acting out, said the expert, is having a voice and being able to speak up. So if those people who were supposed to be role models and icons for black folk can't speak up for black folk, how much more do you expect the ordinary black citizen to be able to articulate their needs, wants, desires, aspirations, fears, and expectations? So, the end result is that heroes, icons from a very limited spectrum are presented as the spokespeople for blacks in the United Kingdom. And what this does is that they don't speak for blacks in the United Kingdom. And I would argue that the most damaging consequence of that is that children, the young people, look up and think to themselves, he's not acting for me. He's not speaking to my needs. His actions, I don't care how big his profile is in radio, in this or that or the other. He's not influencing my quality of life. Why should I look up to him? And the moment young people lose faith or hope in their elders, their seniors, and others, you have a formula for social Armageddon. If they can't look to their seniors, they're going to have to look to themselves. And what does one know in the teen years? We've all been there. Testosterone raging through the body, minimum life experience. Usually people take the line of least resistance with all the consequences that can bring about. So, citizenship requires that black folk have a voice. Black folk having a voice is greatly aided by the black people in high-profile roles being able to speak to the needs of black people, but their voices are muted regularly leaving us with the conundrum, that which I call the silence of the lambs. For if a lamb cannot bleat, the wolf will take it every single time. That's the challenge on the table right now. Take a look at this video, like it, share it, subscribe for more, because I like to keep these ideas coming and having these conversations. Also, post your comments down below. Have a great weekend.